Good morning, Vandadal. To find ideas, find problems. To find problems, talk to people. This is one of my most favorite quote about the Good morning, Vandadal. To find ideas, find problems. This is one of my most favorite quote about the research. To talk to people means our questionnaire will talk to the needed population on behalf of us. Questionnaire and validating the questionnaire is a very important part of all research. As a budding researchers, it is very important to discuss with the experienced researchers. This national workshop on pathway to research excellence, Department of Population Studies, Annamalai University, and Department of Business Administration, Annamalai University, is giving greater opportunity to discuss about our research to the experienced researchers. There is a big difference between making a simple product and making a product simple. Yes, we need to making our research simple. Questionnaires play a vital role, as we all know. Today, our fourth day resource person, Dr. Tangaraja, Assistant Professor, Business School, Vellore Institute of Technology, Chennai, is going to deliver about the designing a questionnaire with validation. To welcome our resource person, Department of Business Administration faculty, Dr. K. Rukmani, is on the way to express her welcome on behalf of our Annamalai University. Welcome, ma'am. Please unmute yourself and talk.
Thank you, Subha. Is it audible, Subha?
Yes, ma'am.
It's my pleasure to welcome you all in the virtual venue. This is Dr. K. Rukmani, Department of Business Administration, Annamalai University. We are in the fourth day of National Workshop on Pathway to Research Excellence, Department of Population Studies, Annamalai University, and jointly organized by Department of Business Administration, Annamalai University. In this grand eve, Dr. K. Shivkumar is going to give the overview of university. He is going to be made out to be about the arts and science faculties of Annamalai University. Thank you very much for the great job, sir. I am welcoming you on behalf of this webinar organizers. And I am cordially inviting to Dr. Tangaraja Arambam for this informative workshop about research. In this fourth day of this workshop, our resource person is going to deliver his speech about the topic, designing a questionnaire and a validation. Welcome, sir. I am welcoming all the organizing committee members, course directors, organizing secretaries of this national webinar. Last but not the least, and welcoming budding research scholars of various colleges and universities from various departments and from various states who are gathered here to get knowledge about the research. It is very much appreciable that those who are participating all sessions daily. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The role of Annamalai University in society is repository and generator of knowledge. Our Annamalai University is having the obligation to equip graduates so that they can obtain viable employment. And Annamalai University is having the obligation to offer rational and timely criticism in areas of public policies and social and economic life. To meet these thoughts, Annamalai University's arts and science faculties are doing their role well as like other faculties. Yes, today we are going to express something about Annamalai University's Faculty of Arts and Science Department. Dr. K. Shivashankaran sir is going to express something about the faculties. Sir, please kindly unmute yourself and talk, sir. Shivkumar sir.
Shivashankaran, you told me. Okay.
Sorry.
No problem. Good morning to everyone. This is Shivakumar, faculty member from Department of Business Administration, Annamalai University. I am very happy to tell about our faculty, Faculty of Arts and Science. Regarding Faculty of Arts, it is as old as university. It is more than 90 years old Faculty of Arts. We are going to celebrate 100th year very soon. Under this Faculty of Arts, we have 11 departments, namely Department of English, Department of History, Department of Political Science and Public Administration, Department of Economics, Department of Commerce, Department of Sociology and Social Work, and Department of Population Studies, and Department of Business Administration, Department of Library and Information Science, Department of Philosophy, and Center for Rural Development. In the Faculty of Arts, many of the departments are DRS1, DRS2 sub-departments. In the Faculty of Arts, we are regularly conduct a lot of seminars, conferences, workshops, indoor and outdoor games, meets, and industrial visits for students. And if students willing, we used to take them to trekking also. In the Faculty of Arts, more than 1,000 PhDs are awarded so far. And regarding the Faculty of Science, the Science Department, the 11 departments also here. Department of Mathematics, Department of Statistics, Department of Physics, Department of Chemistry, Department of Biochemistry and Biotechnology, Department of Botany, Department of Zoology, Department of Earth Science, Department of Microbiology, Department of Computer and Information Science. The last one is Department of Sports Science. Actually, both the faculty members, entertainment is publishing articles in journals, the two reputed journals and index journals. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. This is the time for our resource person. We are going to get some knowledge about the today's topic from Dr. A. Tangaraja, MBA, PGD MM, PGP, BA, BI, and PhD. Sir is natively from Annamalai. He is having more than 10 years of total experience and 2 years of industrial experience, 8 years of teaching experience. He has published more than 3 patents in social mining, deep learning, and image processing. Certification occurred from Scandinavian Institute. And he has published more than 10 papers in Scopus and UGC approved journals. It is a very happy time to be with you, sir. Please kindly unmute yourself and take this moment, sir, to express your words.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. Shall we get into the session, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, please.
Sure. Thank you. I'll share the PPT. The PPT is visible, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So, designing a questionnaire and validation. So, when I was first invited for this workshop, and I was thinking about what kind of topic we can discuss about, but I found this more relevant in the present scenario. Designing a questionnaire and validation. I believe every researcher, every PhD scholar or faculty, they might have gone through this process of designing a questionnaire, and you might be having a number of queries on this. So I would welcome the participants to have your views, and if you are having any doubts, you can stop me at any time and you can ask me. We will have it as an interactive session here, right? So questionnaire is a structured technique for data collection that consists of a series of questions. It may be in a written way or verbal that a respondent can answer. Okay, so generally this is a very common answer, common definition for questionnaire, and the questionnaire is also called schedule. Sometimes in the research, it is also known as schedule. Or questionnaire can be in the interview form also, and measurement instrument. Right, mostly many of the researchers are into this instrument, a measurement instrument, measuring instrument, right? But there are other names also. Schedule, a questionnaire can be called as a schedule. Interview form, it can be an interview form, and it is also known as measuring instrument. Measuring of what? That is the biggest talent here. Okay, see, if you want to measure the height, you have the scale for that. If you want to measure the weight, we have the scale for that. Quantitative scales are there. But when you want to measure the attitude, opinion, behavior, right, there is no standard scale. In fact, there is no common scale for that. So there are n number of scales developed for measuring the different attitudes, different opinions, and different behavior of the human. So this measuring instrument is a very critical thing for data collection, because for any research, your questionnaire is the only thing that is going to bring the data, right? So if you want to fetch the data, the only tool is questionnaire. Many of the times, not. Many of the researchers, they rely only on the questionnaire form of collecting data, especially primary data, right? So questionnaire needs to be very clear, and it needs to be very standardized form, right? See, why should we have a questionnaire in a standardized form? Questionnaire needs to be in a standardized form because, sorry, questionnaire needs to be in a standardized form, then only it can be comparable. If you want to compare a questionnaire, if you want to compare a data that is collected from several respondents, you say that 40 researchers are collecting data from different places around India, right? So is it possible to compare it? If they have the same questionnaire, that is possible to compare. So we need a standardized questionnaire for comparing the results. So for data, if you want accurate data, you need a proper questionnaire, standardized questionnaire for that, right? So with that, these are the things, right? Comparability of the data, right? When you collect data, you need to compare it. For that, we need a standardized questionnaire, and speed and accuracy of the recording. When you are having a standardized questionnaire, you can collect your data in a very speedy manner, and the data whatever you have acquired will be in a very accurate manner. So, and facilitating data processing. And many of the times what happens, your questionnaire, if it is not in a standard way, you don't have a link with your objective and the further data analysis process. So many of the times your questionnaire will determine the quality of your research. So if you are having a standardized questionnaire, then your data analysis will give you a lot of finding, and your data, eventually your finding and suggestions will be more of applicable, more of accurate, right, for decision making, right? So to the audience, there is a question: did you finalize Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
There was a disconnection, I think. Okay.
No problem, sir.
Okay. So we were asking about this question. Right. So just in the chat, the participants, I would like to ask you one question. Did you finalize your study questionnaire in the first attempt? If you are saying yes, give it in, give one in the chat box. Yes, I'm getting answers. It's no, sir. Okay. Shiba Dhanapalan. Yes. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Then others, have you framed the questionnaire? If you have framed the questionnaire, have you finalized for your final study in the first attempt? Okay. Many of the times, yes, Sandhya ma'am, thank you. Right? No. Right. It will take n number of timings. Right? Okay. Now I'll do one thing. Right? I'll share you one link. In the chat box, I'm sharing a link. You just open it and give the number of attempts you made. The number of attempts you made for finalizing your questionnaire. After pilot study, we were able to devise it properly, sir. Yes. Right. Okay. So can you go to that link and give your response? How did you, how many times it took for you to finalize your questionnaire? How many attempts you made? Question. Okay, right. Yeah, I'm getting responses here. Share this. Can you see this? The result is here that 2 to 10 times. This 10 people have done it, right? You took 2 to 10 between the number of times you made the attempts. There are 5 people who made more than 10 times of attempts for finalizing your questionnaire. Actually, it should take. Right? If you are taking n number of times, if to finalize your questionnaire, then you can ensure that your questionnaire is getting molded very well. Right? So sometimes it takes more than 20, 25 times and all to finalize your questionnaire itself, because it is not that one time you prepare a questionnaire, you are going for a pilot study and you are finalizing your questionnaire and everything you are getting your all the measurement tools, validity, reliability, everything is fine. Then you are immediately going for data collection. No. Apart from that, there are n number of things we need to consider. Right. So always we have to be very clear that your objectives on the questionnaire should be very should be correlated clearly. See what happens many of the times. For your first objective, what are all the questions you are developing? For the second objective, what are all the questions you are developing? In such a way, you need to correlate, you need to map each questions with your objectives. In fact, there is a technique usually said that when you are developing a questionnaire, before circulating it to you, to the respondent, what you have to do is in each page of the questionnaire, you write the objectives and what all the objectives you are mapping. Right? And one more thing, you need to be very careful that all your questions should be mapped to any of the objectives. If you are having some of the questions which you are not able to map it with the objective, then those questions are irrelevant questions. Right? So you don't have to have those questions. Because many of the times what happens when you study about satisfaction, right, being a researcher, we cannot understand that, right, whether this question is really needed to investigate a particular concept. What happens, we will include as much scales, as much of adapted scales, and we increase the number of questions. That will reduce your respondents accuracy level. Respondents will get bored. Sometimes respondents will, if they feel that the same question is repeated again and again in a different forms, if they find it, right, they won't make the very proper answers to the relevant remaining questions. So these are the problems that we will discuss one by one. What are all the problems will occur and how can we deal with these? So while you prepare a questionnaire, what are all things you need to remember? So these are the very basic terminologies we need to first understand when you are developing a scale. Not even a scale, if it is a questionnaire also, right? If you are developing a questionnaire and if you are developing a scale, measurement scale, then you need to consider all these terminologies first, right? We'll discuss one by one: research objectives, data properties, response types, response rate, response error, dimensions, unbalanced, balanced, forced and unforced choices, number of scale points, rate or error, all these things we will discuss one by one, right? Research objective. Researcher's objective are, see, just now I told you, right, when you are having on the objective, right, that should be mapped with your questions. And what is a see, many of the times for a research they will have the objective of two main things: to measure characteristics of the participant who participate in the study, to measure the characteristics, to use participants as the judges of objects or indicators presented into them, right? For example, you may want to study about the respondent's background, and you may want to study about the respondent's opinion or attitude or behavior, right? So these can be the very basic research objective, right? And these need to be mapped with the questions, right? And response type, what kind of responses you will be getting from the respondents. You may ask them to rate it. You may ask them to rate it. That respondents can rank the question. They can give it in a ranking form. The answers can be in ranking form, and the answers can be in categorization. The answers can be in sorting out, right? So all these are four different response types you can get it. I believe you know what is a rating. Rating is when you want to qualitatively assess whether a person's, for example, if it is satisfaction, you may ask them to rate it between 1 and 5, right? I'll discuss about how this 1 and 5 comes, right? When should we use it and all. First, I'm just explaining now what is rating. If I ask you to rate my class, right, I may ask you to rate it between 1 and 5, right? And I may ask you to rate between 1 and 10, right? But that is a type of response you will be getting from a respondent. The another response is when I want to compare myself with other people, right? When you are having 10 people, you want to compare between them, and you want to identify who's the number one, who's the number two, right? And who's the best and who's the next best. At that time, you will go with the rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, and third one is categorization, right? You want to categorize the people like male, female, and upper, lower classes, right? And sorting out is about when you want to sort out the variables, right, on the basis of that. So these are the response types you will be having. There is a technique called Q-sort. Right? We will discuss about that, right? Then data properties. When you develop a questionnaire, right, there are 4 types of data, and we need to be very clear that if you are taking a nominal data, when you develop a questionnaire itself, first I told you, you have to map your each question with the objective. In the same way, whatever question you are asking, that is to be analyzed in the analysis chapter, right? So that is to be analyzed. Whatever data you collect from each question should be analyzed. So you need to have for this question, what kind of data I'm going to collect. So for each question, you need to determine what kind of data I'm going to collect from this particular question. For example, if you are asking for a nominal question like what is your gender, They may give it as male, female. They may select one option, right? It is a purely categorization. When you are having nominal data, you can only, sorry. When you are asking for a nominal data, you can only, right. So when you are asking for nominal data, you can only categorize the data. After circulating the questionnaire, after collecting data, you can only categorize it. When you are going for ordinal data, you will ask the respondent to rank it. That means they will compare each option and which is the best option, they will give it as 1. And the next best will be given 2. The next best will be given 3. Likewise, they will be ranking it. When you are having the ranking data, when you are giving a ranking questionnaire and your question and you are collecting data, that data you can categorize it and you can find the relationship also. That means you can make it in order. Who is the best one? Who is the next best one? Likewise, you can find the relationship. You can make it in an order. And if it is a interval data, right? You are asking them to rate it. You say that, right? If you are having an interval data with the time being, right, and you can do the categorization. You can categorize it, and you will be having the order also. At the same time, the distance also is possible. You can measure the distance, right? Here, the distance is, see, if you are taking a degree, right? That means, keep centigrade, right? If it is in 10 degree to 20 degree, the distance is 10 degree. If you are taking 90 degree and 100 degree, the distance is 10 degree. That any interval you take, right? The degrees are equal. So this is called interval data. So when you are having interval data, you can categorize it, you can order it, that is a relationship you can identify, and then you can go for a distance measurement also, right? And finally, ratio data. If you are having a ratio data, you can categorize it, you can have the order, and you can have the distance, plus absolute 0 is possible. That means absolute numbers you will be having. So ratio data is the highly valued data. So when you want a ratio data, right, many of the times when you are asking for a age, we used to give slabs for age. The question itself, the questionnaire itself, we used to give select your age group. Instead of asking for age group, always go with the age, exact age, right? But yes, again, there is a context for that, right? Based on the study, based on the respondents, you may have to, because many of the respondents may feel that I don't want to reveal my exact age. So in what category they want to know. So based on the respondents, you may have to decide, but mostly when you are preparing questions, right, you try to extract the ratio data. In such a way, you develop the question. At the same time, you need to consider other things also, right? So you try maximum, because if you are having a ratio data, you can do any kind of parametric analysis. So that is why data properties are very important while you are preparing questionnaire. There are a number of dimensions, right? See, if an actor is there, here I have given actors, right? International or global actors and Tamil actors I have given, right? If I ask you to rate them, right? If I ask you to rank them, how will you rank them, right? How will you rank them, right? Just I can have one right data collection here, but I don't want to do that. Just here for your understanding, if you are having actors, right, if you want to who's the best actor among themselves, right, if you are going with on data collection, yeah, all the numeric values should not be categorized. The data should obtained as it is, right? Yeah, there is a thing. All the numerical Sarala Raju ma'am has given on message. All the numerical variables should not be categorized. Yes, ma'am. As per the context again. As per the context. Yes, very good, ma'am. Thank you. and unidimensional and multidimensional questions. See, I want to know who's the best actor, right? How can I assess actor is a best actor or not? See, I can have one question, right? The stardom level, right? I want to assess the stardom level, okay? And in the number of fans they have, right? Based on the any one question, I can assess the best actor for best stardom level, right? Star category, right? Based on their popularity, based on their fan base, right? We can decide about the number of fans, number of super hits, yes, right? So if you are having only one question, right? The star level, when you are having only one question and you decide about the stardom level of an actor, it is called unidimensional. When you are considering several factors like the tickets, right, the turnover of last movie and overall salary level, right, and you are considering several more things like number of fans, number of sir is giving number of character roles, right, many things. When you consider so many factors, it is called multidimensional. Either you are taking a unidimensional approach or multidimensional approach, that will have an impact in the questionnaire. When you want to have a very in-depth investigation, you need to have a multidimensional approach when you develop a questionnaire. Okay? And yes, here it is, right? On how can you measure? One measure of an actor star power is if you want to measure the star power, right, the ability to carry a movie. It's a single dimension. At the same time, multi-dimension, you are having so many other factors to be considered. In such a way, you need to decide whether your questionnaire is going to be unidimensional or multidimensional. Balanced, unbalanced questions. If you are having a balanced rating scale, if you are having a balanced rating scale, you are rating between very good and very poor, right? Here, everything is
Sir?
yes, ma'am. I think it has got again
Okay.
connected. Okay. I don't know why is it happening today, right? Okay. So balanced or unbalanced, right? The question is this, right? When will you apply balanced question? When will you go for unbalanced question? Usually, when can you apply unbalanced rating scales? I would expect the answers in the chat box. Otherwise, you can unmute and you can talk. Usually, balanced rating scales can be given when you don't have any idea. You want to explore their attitude. You want to explore their opinion, because it can be in any extreme, right? They may say that it is very good. Somebody may say that it is very poor. So when you are not having any idea and you want to explore a new avenue, then you can go for a balanced rating scale. When can you apply unbalanced rating scale is when you clearly know that, right, there is no category of very poor. Sometimes you may know that there is no category of very good, right? If I ask about the performance of Rajinikanth in Tamil Nadu, right, so very poor is not going to come, right? Otherwise, you say that any actor or if I speak about the politicians or anybody, right, the performance wise, if I know that there is no category of very poor, and if I have the review support also, when you are going with the research, exactly the research perspective, right? If you're having a very proper review support that there has been never registered a very poor category, right? Then with those evidences, you can go for an unbalanced rating scale, right? Because your data is going to be asymmetric. It's not going to be a normally distributed. It's going to be in a favor way only, right? It's going to be in an unfavor way only, right? We know that very well. So when you have the idea, when you have a proper evidence, then you can go for an unbalanced rating scale. Right? Forced or unforced choices, right? When your respondents are matured enough, they will understand your question and they will definitely give whatever they feel. And when they will give in the same sense what you are asking, then you can go for an unforced choice rating scale, right? Forced choice rating scales, when you feel that your respondents are not matured enough, they may hide something, right? For example, you can force the people, right? If you are 35 years of age and above, you can go for rating this particular question. You can force them to do that. There's a question, sir, is it mandatory to have literature support to use unbalanced rating scale? There is no mandatory, ma'am. Sometimes if you are having it, if you are showing it, it is so good. When you are showing some unbalance, because you are developing a scale, right? When you are developing a scale, you need to show support that why you are developing this scale. Is it not already available? When you are saying that there is no scale available, I'm going to develop a new scale. At least you can say that, okay, I have seen that in such a way that people have studied, and I have seen that there is no poor, right? So in some justifications you can give, it will add more value, but there is no mandatory things. Yes. Yeah, unforced choice rating and forced choice rating scales. Right? When will you use unforced? Based on your respondents' maturity level, right? When you feel that your respondents will hide something, when you feel that the respondents will not give this particular choice, right? Then you may force them to do that. Okay. In number of scale points, this is the biggest question, right? I would like to ask this question to everybody, that why are you using a 5-point scale or 7-point scale or 8-point scale? Nowadays, I could find that there are double-barreled numerical scales, right? They will give two extremes, excellent and poor, and they will ask for the numbers in between, right? So how do you determine, right, whether it should be a 5-point scale or a 7-point scale or 10-point scale? How do you determine? Any kind of answers for this? Just let me have 30 seconds. Just if you are giving answers, we can discuss on that. Right? Anybody in the chat, or you can unmute and speak. Okay. Right. So usually what happens when we have this custom, many of the researchers and research scholars, I could see that, right? Invariably, they will go for Likert scale, 5-point Likert scale. But there is a reason on the basis of characteristics which going to assess. Yes, sir. That is okay. Yes. Yes. When you are inquiring something, right, based on the depth, right, based on the in-depth analysis that you want to do, based on the in-depth investigation you want to do, right? For example, if you are asking a question about your toothpaste, what kind of toothpaste are you using? Can you rate your toothpaste? Right? These products and all very low involved products, low involved products. Whereas if you're asking about rate your car, rate your car, okay, rate your performance of car, right? So if I ask like this, When it is about car, rate your living experience in your house, right? When I ask about the house or car, it is a high involvement products. So based on the context, yes, exactly, sir, it's a magnitude, right? Based on the context, based on the respondent's involvement with the context, right? You need to go for fixing the levels of 3-point or 5-point or 11-point scales. Here you can see that, right? The low involvement products, high involvement products. And when you want to identify the in-depth understanding about the attitude differences, opinion differences, you can have the number of scale points. You can increase the number of scale points. So this is the way nowadays it is happening. See, even because of this, right, online questionnaires, right, mail questionnaires, and based on this Google form and monkey survey and Qualtrics and all, you can identify the exact numbers, right? You can ask them to rate exactly 3.5, 3.2, right? 4.5, 7.5, right? Exact numbers. They can drag and keep it in the exact numbers. That will give you a proper continuous data that will help you for your better analysis, right? Okay. Then rater error. Error of central tendency, error of leniency, halo effect. The error of central tendency, usually whenever you are given with a questionnaire, people used to go with the central option, neutral. They will think in a second and they will go for a neutral option, right? It's called error of central tendency, right? I don't know how many of you have seen this. How many of you are from Tamil Nadu? Is there anybody or from Tamil Nadu who are away from Tamil Nadu? Right? Have you seen this Big Boss? Right? If I ask you to rate between this Mr. Raju and Ms. Priyanka, right? There may be a chance of error of central tendency. That both of them are equal, right? I could see that. Right? So in such a situation, you need to go for a forced rating scale. You need to go for a forced rating scale. So error of leniency. Sometimes what happens, see the same example, right? In the Big Boss, if you are from other than Tamil Nadu, right? You are from different state. Just imagine you in your version of Big Boss, and you compare two people, and the most favorite person, whatever he does, it will be taken in a positive note. So that what happens, he is enjoying the leniency of the respondents in such a way. Tamil Nadu people maybe are more positive, whereas in US people are most of negative in the same context. Maybe. So in such a way, what happens in both the places, leniency is happening, but in a reverse way, right? US, they are taking a leniency of negative. In Tamil Nadu, they are taking the leniency of positive. So they won't give the exact opinion. They will give a biased opinion, right? And the third one is halo effect. Yes. See, many of us would be having this problem that all the doctors are soft in nature, all the policemen are rude in nature, right? But the reality may be different. So when your respondents are giving answers, right, if they are having this kind of halo effects, you need to identify it, whether they have this halo effect or not. And based on that, you need to mention what kind of questions, what kind of statements you need to give so that you can eliminate this halo effect, right? Usually in Tamil, we used to say that, right? So that kind of halo effect should be taken away, right? Not only the halo effect, it can be stereotype also. Just consider that while you are developing a questionnaire, right? These are the rater errors. Right? So what are the different scales, simple attitude scales? I just list some of the attitude scales. Central tendency, ma'am, right? Yeah. See what happens when you are given with a questionnaire, immediately you won't take a negative or you won't take a positive, right? If I ask you to rate between highly agree, agree, neutral, disagree, highly disagree, you won't go for a disagree or you won't go for a agree. You will take a neutral. If majority of the people are giving neutral, then you cannot take any decision as a researcher, right? So it will have an effect on your data collection. So what you need to do, you need to identify in the pilot study or in the first circle of your, that's why I asked you how many attempts you make. When you make several attempts, you identify that there is a central tendency. Then you need to change your options. Outstanding. Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah. So that is central tendency. Yeah. Then some of the simple attitude scales, right? Many of the times what happens, we don't apply the different types of scales, because all these different types of scales are meant for different purposes. Like when you want a nominal data, there are three options you can do, right? Simple category scale, that is yes or no questions. Here you can see the first choice, right? Here I plan to purchase a MindWriter laptop in the next 12 months. Yes or no question. If it is a multiple choice or single response scale, right? You can go for, that is also for nominal data. When you want a nominal data and you are okay with the nominal data, and you can go for a multi-choice option also, right? In the multi-choice, single response, multi-choice, multi-response. Okay, based on your context again, right? Based on your context. When you ask people what kind of food do you like, you need to give a multi-choice, because people will not stick with only one choice, right? Sometimes if you are studying about one particular food, for example, you want to know who is the exact competitor for biryani, right? For example, the exact competitor for biryani, is it a pizza or burger? At that time, otherwise you want to know, right? You want to explore one area, one market, and you want to identify what is the maximum number of people would like to have, right? Either biryani. Here you want them to rank it. Okay, you can ask them to rank it. You can ask them to go for a one choice, right? If you ask them to rank it, right, they will give the first choice biryani, second choice one, third choice one, likewise. Whereas if you ask them to go for a multi-choice or a single choice, they have to choose any one of that, right? Based on that, you will be doing an analysis and you can come out with one decision that for one hotel you can recommend in this area, you don't have to go for a much variety. If you are having a biryani, it will definitely go, because when you are going for a single choice, if all the people are selecting biryani, that means you don't have to have the other choices, because people will definitely take. If you are given with other choices, they will go for a second choice, third choice, and all. Okay, so based on the context, what do you really want to measure? That is why I told you, map with your objective. Your objective is to identify the people who like only biryani in this particular area. Then what you can do, you can give the choices and you can ask them to choose any one of the choice, so that you can understand how many of the people will be there, so that you can take a decision that I don't need a much variety. Suppose people are choosing pizza and you are going for a multi-choice. People are choosing pizza and biryani. You can go for two varieties. So based on the objective of your study, you need to select either it need to be a simple categorical scale, multi-choice with a single response, multi-choice with a multi-response, right? And Likert scale summated rating. This is a very, very common, popular rating scale, right? You start with strongly agree, end with strongly disagree. You will be having the categories in between. And there is a big debate that is whether it is ordinal data or interval data. Still, the myth is going on. People have accepted it as a interval data. They are analyzing it. They are doing all the interval data parametric analysis. It's applicable there, right? The thing is where you are applying Likert summated rating. When your responses are respondents are they are not taking much time, right? They want to have a quick answer, right? And you don't want a very in-depth analysis. You don't want a very in-depth analysis. Just you want to know their opinion. Then you can go for this Likert scale summated rating, right? Next. Semantical difference. Yes. Semantical difference scale, right? Here what happens, you will be giving two extremes, fast, slow, high quality, low quality. You will ask them to rate in between, so that you will understand what is the maximum of the people's exact opinion. This is called semantic differentials, right? So when can you apply semantic differentials? When you don't have any idea about that particular context, right? You do not have idea about respondents. Respondents may give for any extremes, right? Some of them will go for fast, some of them will go for slow, right? At that time, you can go for semantic differentials. A numerical scale. Yes, this is also extremely favor, extremely unfavorable. Here you will be giving numbers and you will ask them to select a number, right? So when can you apply this numerical scale data, right? So here you can see that employees cooperation in teams, employees knowledge of the task, right? See, when you want to have the attitudinal magnitude, exactly what is the exact attitudinal differences, right? And majority of the people, what kind of attitude they carry. For that aspects, when you want to apply high quality numerical quantitative analysis, parametric analysis, if you are planning to take up, then you need to go for numerical scale, right? And a multiple rating Likert scale, list scale, right? Multiple rating. Here you are giving several options. It is a multi-dimensional, right? It is multi-dimensional. You are you are mixing the both the things, numerical scale and multi-dimensional, right? And it is called multi-rating list scale and constant sum scale. These are the constant sum scale and stable scales, and it is very least used scales. Usually it is not used much. Right? Constant sum scale, what you are doing, you ask them to divide, right? Instead of going, see what we usually we do, we collect the data and we will analyze it. Instead here you are giving 100 and you ask them to give it, right? Here there are two choices. The respondent can give 40, 60, or respondent can give 25 and 75, right? Respondent can give 20, 80. Respondent can give 50, 50 also, right? So, but with this, what kind of decision can you take, right? So it will be the investigation and the results that you are going to find will be of very least importance. So that is why it won't be an in-depth investigation. Staple also, when it comes to staple, right? For one variable, here you see that technology leader, right? You ask them to go between +5 to -5, right? The quality of a particular variable, when you want to identify the quality of a particular variable, performance of a particular variable, you can go for staple scale. But when you are doing this, the respondents should understand this first, because by looking at this, they may get distracted, they may not understand this. Even they understand also, they may not give a proper input. That is why it is least used. And finally, graphic rating scale. Nowadays, you can see that in when you are going for a virtual data collection using device-based data collection, many of the people are going with the graphic rating scales. When you are taking this graphic rating scales, you have to be very clear that your pictures are very clear. Your pictures are very clear. Here it is not clear. That's why I'm just telling you, insisting you that make your picture very clear, and by looking at the picture, they can understand, right? Okay, when should I use this? Because when mostly these kind of graphic rating scales, when you are going for the retail showrooms, in the feedback session, they will be having it, because you, the respondent will not take much effort to select, right? Just they don't have to read it. They won't give that much of effort. Just look at that, you will understand. Look at the picture, you will understand. So to reduce the efforts of respondents and to increase their involvement on giving the feedback, they used to go for graphic rating scales. These all are the various different scales, right? So as of now, we have discussed the very basics of questionnaires. Okay. Now, questionnaire designing process. Questionnaire designing process, right? So the time is going on, so I'll take up the speed. If you are having any doubts, you can stop me at any time. Yes, there is a question. What type of scale point to be used to avoid leniency and halo effect? Yes, we will discuss after this. We will discuss in detail. We will have one question and answer session elaborately, right? So, questionnaire design process. Specify the information needed. Before start developing your questionnaire itself, first you need to specify what type of information I need to have. What type of information I need to go. Ensure that information obtained fully addresses the components of the problem, right? In your research, you might have given a problem statement, and you need to ensure that your questionnaire, the questions that you have included in the questionnaire, should bring the information of all the components of the problem in a detailed way. Okay. And step 2, effect of interviewing method. There are two types of usually several types of there, right? Telephonic method, face-to-face method, and face-to-face through computer, right? It's called they used to say computer assisted telephonic interview, computer assisted personal interview, CAPI. Computer assisted telephonic interview, computer assisted personal interview, because telephonic interview can happen through telephone, and nowadays it will happen through Google Meet or Zoom Meet also, right? So that is why they say that CAPI, right? Computer assisted telephonic method interview, computer assisted personal interview, right? Okay. So if I call somebody, some respondents, and I ask them to rank it, what will happen? I need to give all the options. I need to tell them the question. I need to ask them. I need to give them the list of options, and they have to remember all the options. But what happens when you are giving the option? They will forget the option. So they will go. They will forget the option, and they may remember one or two options. So they may give it a wrong input for you. So when it is in a telephonic method, you can go for maximum on a open-ended questions. You can go for a rating questions. If it is a face-to-face method, you can explain whatever doubt they have. You can explain, right? In telephonic, there will be a communication gap, right? So in telephonic method, you can go for a rating. In face-to-face method, you can go for a ranking and rating also, right? Okay. Then determine the content of individual questions, right? Whether the question is necessary, whether this question is necessary, that we need to identify first. There is a survey on mobile devices sponsored by Samsung, may also include filler questions related to Apple and Google, right? See, if your objective is very clear, you are not comparing it with any other competitor. You want to identify only the opinion only about the Samsung. Then you need not have Apple and Google questions and the questions unrelated to the immediate problem may sometimes be included to generate client support for the project. Usually it happens. So what we have to do is we need to remove that unnecessary questions, right? See, and sometimes the respondents also will get bored. They will get irritated also, right? When you are going and asking about health issues, and if you are asking about their financial status, they may get irritated, right? You ask about my age, because age will have an impact. But how come are you asking likewise? If they may get irritated, but maybe if you are having a justification, because finance may have an effect on health also. Because if a financially well person um, may his spending pattern and his eating pattern may be better, so that his health will be better. So you need to give this justification in written before you are going for a data collection itself, so that they'll be convinced. Okay, so these kind of issues may arise. So you need to determine that whether a question is necessary or not. The content of the questionnaire we are speaking about. See, some of the questions, it needs to be in a very correct manner. For example, some of the double-barreled questions should be avoided. See here, do you think Coca-Cola is tasty and refreshing soft drink? People used to mix two questions usually. We have seen that people used to mix two questions. What they will think is, I want to reduce the question. I want to reduce the number of questions, so I am coupling two questions into one question. But it won't bring you a proper information, right? Instead, what you have to do is, you need to ask, do you think Coca-Cola is a tasty soft drink? Because that is a different variable. Coca-Cola is a refreshing software. That is, soft drink. It is a different variable. So you need to ask a different question for these two, right? So double-barreled questions, maximum you can avoid, because that will lead to a misunderstanding, right? Okay. Then the fourth step is overcoming the participants' inability and unwillingness to answer, right? The participants may not be informed, right? There will be some filter questions. So what happens many of the times, they may not be informed, and it will lead them to some kind of unwanted doubts, right? In situations where not all participants are likely to be informed, yes, of course, it happens. And suppose if you are some of the filter questions that measure familiarity or product use or past experience, that you need to ask, right? About the topic themselves, the filter questions enable the researcher to filter out the participants who are not adequately informed, right? So usually this is what happens. For example, participant, just imagine a participant may be asked to rate preferences for a selection of movie, none of which they have heard of. Okay, so they don't know about. See, if I go to the north and if I ask about Tamil movie, it is totally irrelevant, right? So we need to ensure that what kind of content I'm going to ask as a question to that person, and whether he knows it very clearly or not. And participant remember it or not, how long they will be remembering it. So many of the times what happens, many things we might expect everyone to remember, but it won't happen. Practically they won't remember everything. Just this question, as per this question, how many gallons of Coke did you consume last week? If I ask this question, do you remember how many idlis you had in the morning? People won't remember exactly, but especially when it is about answering the questionnaire, right? So what you need to ask is, how often do you consume soft drinks or Coke in a typical week, right? In 1 week, how often do you take? Then they may have one answer, one proper answer for that, right? So exact numbers you may not get, but you need to ask. So they may not remember it. So that is the factor we need to consider. And articulation problems, right? For example, the respondents may not understand your communication, right? They may not understand your language. They may not understand what you are really trying to convey. They will be understanding in a different way. So suppose if I ask, if I ask more technical terminologies, right? If I give a very technical terminologies to the participants, they may not understand it. So we need to ask a very simple questions to them. And context, in what context you are speaking to the respondents, that is very important. Some questions may seem appropriate in certain context, but exactly it won't be. For example, questions about personal hygiene. A question about personal hygiene may be appropriate when asked in a survey of healthcare study, right? Personal hygiene you can ask, but when you are in the context, when you are doing this about breakfast cereals, right? You want to study about breakfast habit of the people. For them, if you ask about hygiene, right, they may feel that it is irrelevant. It is irrelevant to the study that you are doing. Your study is about breakfast. Then why are you asking about hygiene and all? Personal hygiene and all, why do you ask? They may have this question. So you need to give a proper explanation to them that as a fast food restaurant, we are very concerned about providing a clean and hygiene environment for our customers. Therefore, we would like to ask you some questions related to personal hygiene. Likewise, you need to explain to them. So give the context very clearly to the respondents so that they will accept it. And legitimate purpose. Participants are also unwilling to reveal information that they do not see as a serving legitimate purpose. Why should the firm marketing breakfast want to marketing breakfast cereals, right? Want to know their age, income, and occupation? This many times happened to us also, right? When I visited several retail showrooms, they used to ask me all the details, phone number, name, and everything, right? I used to feel that why do you ask all these questions? I want to buy one t-shirt. For that, why should I give all this information to you, right? So I don't find it legitimate. So they may find it. They may not find it legitimate to reveal all the information. So we need to understand the customers or respondents' mindset also, and some of the sensitive information, political preferences, and their background study, right, and their caste, and all these sensitive information. When you are asking, you have to be very clear, right? You have to be very particular, and the way you are asking, that you need to be very clear. So now, how can you increase the willingness? How can you increase the willingness of the participants? See, what you need to do is the sensitive questions, you keep it at the end of the survey, end of the questionnaire. Okay. When you are having it initially, some initial mistrust may happen. They may not get connected with your throughout the questions. So it is better to have it at the end of the questions. And you need to give a proper preface, right? You need to explain why this purpose, what is the purpose of this study, and what is the exact study, right? And you need to give a question with a statement that behavior of interest is common, right? You are giving a clear-cut idea that they are giving some information which is going to be kept secret, and likewise. And ask the questions using the third person technique. Never pinpoint, right? I am a thief. You cannot give a statement like this. You cannot ask the person to rate it, right? So give as a third person. A person is a thief, right? Likewise, you can give as a third person. So they will rate it as a third person, right? And hide the questions in a group of other questions that participants are willing to answer. many of the times what happens, people will be interested to rate some of the questions, like the questions related to movie, the question related to entertainment. In between, you hide some of the questions which are very serious questions, right? And you need to have a positive, negative questions also. When you are having it, that we will discuss in the next. Yes. So these are the ways you can increase the willingness of the participants. And one more very common technique is incentive. Usually what happens in many of the Western countries, US and all, they used to fund the researcher, and for giving answer, for getting answer for one questionnaire, they are paying to the respondents. The respondents are paid for giving the answers, for giving the information. So that is a greatest motivation that you can give it to the respondent, right? Then step 5 is choose question structure, right? There are two types of questions. One is unstructured questionnaire and structured questionnaire. Usually, when will you go for unstructured questionnaire is when you don't have an idea and you want to explore the avenues. The, unstructured questions are open-ended questions that participants answer in their own words. They also refer to as a free response or free answer questions. Okay. For example, what is your occupation? What do you think of people who patronize sign and cloth shops? Who's your favorite film personality? All these open-ended questions can be a topic. They enable the participants to express general attitude and opinion that can help the researcher to interpret the responses, to structure the questions. So what you can do is you can go for an unstructured questionnaire, and you can develop the variables, right? And that will give you an idea for a structured questionnaire also, right? The maximum advantage of a if you are in a face-to-face interview, the potential for the bias is high. When you are speaking with the respondents, there is a high chance of bias. So interviewers record the answers and they write down only the main points. Data depend on the skills and interviews. Records should be used. So these are the other issues of unstructured questions. When you're going with unstructured questions, you may miss out the very important question, important answers, and the answers may be biased. Okay, so that is why you need to go for a structured questionnaire. Right. So these are the ways you need to have a. These are the advantages and disadvantages of having open-ended questions, and you need to have open-ended questions to explore some avenues. Right. And structured questionnaires that specify the set of responses, alternatives, and response format. Right. So there are several ways you can ask the structured questions. Right. Multi-choice questions you can go for. Right. And you can choose. See, many of the times what happens when it is about structured questionnaire, multi-choice questions will be used. You will ask the respondents to provide a choice of answers, and the participants are asked to select one or more alternatives given. So in such a way, you will go for that. But what happens, there is a high chance of order bias. This is a tendency to choose an alternative merely because it occupies a certain position, is listed in a certain order, right? So when you are going for a structured questionnaire, this is a problem. What happens in a structured questionnaire, the options are given like this. The positive options are given first, negative options are in the down the options. So what happens, since it is first, positive is first, their real opinion may be different. But since the first option is positive, they will give the positive reply, positive input. So now you are getting the wrong data input. So these are the problems of structured questionnaire also. So not only for the unstructured questionnaire, structured questionnaire also you are facing the problem. So these kind of biases may happen. These kind of errors may happen. And when you are doing a dichotomous questions also, right? Either I need to have the third option or not. That may be a question. So these all are the problems. 3 scale questions you can go for. So these all are the structured questions. And step 6 is choose question wording. What kind of wording are you using? See, for example, here, which brand of shampoo do you use? Here, the question is incomplete, right? Which brand or which brands of shampoo? Because there is a high chance that one person may use several brands, right? So, which brand or brands of shampoo have you personally used at home during the last month? Here you see that you are asking them, you are reminding them to go for one brand or several brands, and you are asking them that in home, what brand are you using? In case of more than one brand, please list all the brands. Again, you are insisting them to go for a list of brands. So this is the detailed question. Right? See, always we have the tendency that our question should be in a very normal sense, but need not be, right? So this may also happen. I came again, ma'am. Right. Okay. Okay, am I audible, ma'am? No. Okay, fine. Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine, ma'am. So use ordinary words, right? We don't have to show our language proficiency in the questionnaire. We can be very simple so that the respondents can understand it, and use unambiguous words. Now, in the questionnaire, you should never use usually, normally, frequently, all these words, because if I ask this question, in a typical month, how often do you visit a boutique? What do you mean by occasionally here? See, the here for me occasionally is different. For another person, occasionally is different. For me, occasionally is uh, 3 times a week. That may be occasional for me. For another person, 3 times a month, he may feel it as occasionally. So it may bring some kind of ambiguity in the understanding. So better you can go for very clear options, like in a typical month, how often do you visit a boutique? You can say that 1 to 2 times, 3 to 4 times, right? Likewise. And avoid leading biasing questions. See what happens in your question. See this question. Do you think that patriotic French people should buy imported cars when that would put French workers out of employment? Here what happens, that patriotic French, right? That word will lead. So what happens, they won't go for a negative answer here. They will go for a positive answer because of this leading question. So what you need to ask, do you think that French people should buy imported cars? That is the answer. That's the exact question you need to ask. So that the leading words That means other biases, other attachments, other involvements can be eliminated, and the respondents can give unbiased answer for this. And avoid implicit alternatives. There are two types of alternatives: implicit and explicit. Here you see that do you like to fly when traveling short distances, or do you like to fly when traveling short distances, or would you rather drive? See, the first question is implicit. That means they don't reveal, they hide some of the things, right? And here what happens, you are giving an option. Do you want to fly or you want to drive through car? You want to understand both. So you need to give, and we need to understand one thing. This is not a, initially when we speak, we were giving about that biasness, right? So you should not have two questions in a single shot, right? So that can be that. Here it is not two questions in a single shot. It is you are giving a meaning. You are explaining the meaning, right? Okay, ma'am, right? I'll brush up. Avoid implicit assumptions also. You need to avoid the implicit assumptions. Are you in favor of a balanced national budget? Right? Instead of, you can go for a detailed thing. Increase the personal income tax. Right? Avoid generalization and estimates. And use positive or negative statements. Usually what happens, these positive negative statements, you need to add in the initial stage of your questionnaire survey, right? You can add both. You can add both, and from that you will understand whether the respondents are positive or negative. Then you can go for a finalized topic, right? Arrange the questions in a proper order, right? So because you cannot have your head in the stomach, you cannot have your leg in the hand, right? Again gone, ma'am. Sorry. So demographic questions and sociographic questions, and then scaling. So in such a way you can make it, right? Finally, you can go for pilot testing. And when you are going for pilot testing, what all the problems you will be facing, it is given here, right? These are the very common thing that we will face, and that we need to eliminate. And some of the respondents levels, right? We need to understand the respondents also. This is the final slide, ma'am. With that, I'll end up the session. See here, you can see that these are the different types of people mindset. Okay, peacock is a person who claims to shop, decide to be perceived as a smarter, wealthier, happier, or better than others. So if you are giving on question, how does he respond? Pleasure people, right? Respondent gives a politically correct, assumed correct answer about these kind of respondents. How do they respond? So in such a way, we need to understand the respondent's nature also. You just go through all these things, right? Different nature of people and how do they respond to the questions, right? This is the way we can understand the respondents' honesty, and we can understand the accuracy of the data collected. Based on that, we can go for analysis and findings. So with that, thank you so much. I would like to end up the session. I'm open for the questions. If you're having any questions, you can ask.
Thank you so much, sir. The way you have explained each topic with examples from what we all see here in our day-to-day life, that was very special. And your speech showed the mature, clear experience you have in the field of research. It was very useful to us, sir. The words from your warm voice was very clear and helped to resolve the doubts we had about our research. Especially, you had given more many tips, ask the questions using the third person's technique, use ordinary and unambiguous words like that. The tips are very useful. Thank you so much for the time, sir. Actually, we are moving to the discussion session. Callers, participants, please ask your questions in the chat box or unmute yourself and talk.
There is a question, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
In a questionnaire, what type of questions need to be framed? Which type of question reveal the best response from respondents? Ma'am, you need to consider the whole session, ma'am, for this. Because based on the context, we need to decide. Because there is no single formula, right? Actually, this is the problem of questionnaire, because there is no theory for questionnaire. There is a theory for scale development. There is a theory for analysis. For each analysis, there is a theory. But there is no theory for questionnaire. There is one person, Stanley Paynes. Stanley Paynes, the art of I don't remember the exact name. Art of developing questions, I think. Right? That it was developed in 1964. That is the only theory. That process that I have given, right? That is a process developed by him only. That is the only process that still we are using. No other formula for questionnaire. You need to consider everything. So, ma'am, whatever I have discussed is drop of a ocean only. Because when you are going for a scale development, it is again an ocean. There we need to think about items. We have only spoken about the questions in a very normal, very rudimentary kind of studies. But when you are going
There is some technical problem again from the resource person side. No problem. He will be back soon. Okay.
sorry, ma'am.
No
Again,
problem, sir.
okay, did you listen whatever I told you?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I believe I have answered your question, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, actually, we had another question in the chat box.
Yes,
What type of scale point to be used to avoid leniency and hollow effect?
Yeah. See, first we need to understand, ma'am, whether halo effect is there, leniency is there or not. For example, if you feel that positive leniency is there, then you can go for a maximum scale, right? You need to give them a very long scale, like a 11-point scale. If you feel that halo effect is positive, you give the option for negative also. Very lengthy negative and positive options. That means you can go for a semantic differentials with the numerical options. Highly agree, highly disagree. If you are giving like this, give it from 1 to 11. So that they have to think, right? If they are going for high positive, they will think again. Whether 9 is okay, am I giving correctly? They will think again and they will go for the answer. So for halo effect and leniency, it's self-biased only. For this, for removing this only, we are having a 11-point scales. 11. Sometimes it's going beyond also. Is there any software freely available to frame questionnaire There are softwares, ma'am, but they won't check all these things. They won't check. Manually, you need to check all this context. Then you can go for that. You can circulate, you can frame the questions through Qualtrics, SurveyMonkey, and all these things. There are n number of options nowadays. What happens? They are coming with so many different options, like giving movies, giving videos. You can give, nowadays they are going for artificial intelligence also, chatbots also. When you are giving questionnaire, the respondent, if they are having doubt, they can chat it with the bot. It can be given. So all these softwares are there. But these are the very basic things that as a researcher, you need to consider that. The context.
Okay, sir. So many wishes in the chat box to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all. Thank you, each and everybody. Thank you for your welcomes. Can we use mixed type of scale measurement questions in one questionnaire? Yes, you can use. It's good for analysis. Mixed scale means 3.5 point that you are asking. There is a high debate, sir. Actually, it is not recommended generally. It is not recommended. But if your context is such a way, if you are having nowadays mixed research methods are happening, right? Qualitative plus quantitative methods are happening. When you are having a mixed research methodologies, then your respondents also will be in a different way. When you are going for two different segments and you are giving same questions and you find that the bias is high with one group, bias is less with another group, then you can go for a mixed scales.
Sir?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so actually this is regarding the last question which I have asked. Actually, what I mean is, for example, for one question, I have used a nominal scale. For another question, I am using Likert scale. For another question, I am using, let us say, summated question. So is that good? Whether is it easy to make the analysis, whether or going only for most of the questionnaire, if we see, other than the demographic questions, other questions they are asking is a Likert scale. Hello?
Yes, ma'am, please continue.
Sorry, ma'am.
Yeah.
I told you about two books, right? Donald Cooper for management. It is
Yes,
for management. Donald Cooper is good. And if it is general thing, DC Gupta, research method, statistics, basic statistics, GC Gupta, there he has explained it very clearly. GC Gupta, yes. These two are too good. They are technically sound, these two. And of course, Naresh Malhotra, marketing research, Naresh Malhotra, right? All these maximum of the information is from Naresh Malhotra only. The reference book is Naresh Malhotra. Nadgungar is good. Marketing research, Nadgungar.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Subha,
Sir?
this is the right time to wind up.
Okay, sir.
Sir, on behalf of our team, I would also like to thank Tangaraja for an excellent
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
so much.
thank you, Dr. Tangaraja.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay.
Sir, it was a very nice session. We are moving to the feedback.
Shall I leave, ma'am?
Please. Okay. Participant, please don't unmute yourself.
Hello.
Soon we are moving to the end of the session. Sudesh is waiting to give the feedback about the session. Before moving to Sudesh, I just want to say something. Kenneth Blanchard, the author of the Minute Manager book tweeted that feedback is the breakfast of champions. But here, our future champions of the research is going to give lunch to the data analyst, expert tutor in business analytics, expert in marketing analytics, people analytics, expert in SPSS, AMOS. In this national workshop on pathway to research excellence, day 4, our Department of Population Studies research scholar K. Sudesh Kumar is going to give the feedback about this informative session. Mr. K. Sudesh, please unmute yourself and talk.
Good morning. May I audible?
Yes, sir, please.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, one and all. I am Sudesh Kumar, research scholar, Department of Population Study, Annamalai University. Sir, today's session is more dynamic and a very effective one. All researchers are facing so much of problems and hurdles while they are framing the questions, but your session is giving the hope of ray of hope, and your session is a stepping stone to the success in the research. Particularly, I want to mention that question characteristics, how to frame the questions, and what are the points to be avoided, and that components of questions like rating, type, errors, and dimensions, and also that response type like rate, ranking, categories, and sorting, and also very quite interesting that multivariant and unidimensional and balanced, unbalanced question, CATI and CAPI questions. These are the quite interesting, and also your sessions is more lives are like you are giving that live examples like Big Boss and that actors. These comparisons are quite making interesting, while and also this sessions is more useful for framing questions by the research scholars. Anyhow, I want to thank my department, the Department of Population Studies HOD sir, and other faculty member, associate, and assistant professors, and also the entire team. Quietly, this session is more dynamic, more lightning, and more useful, sir. We never see the clock whether the time is going on or not. The entire sessions like 130 hours is very useful one. Thank you, sir. Thanks for giving these opportunities and other things. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you all the organizers and the college, the university. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sudesh. Next, we had pleased today's resource person with our feedback and our doubts and discussion. Still, we cannot thank you enough, sir. Gratitude is one of the most powerful human emotions. Once expressed, it changes attitude, brightness of the outlook, and broaden our perspective. To express our gratitude, our Karthik, Department of Business Administration, Annamalai University, is waiting to express our appreciations to our Day 4's resource person and participants. On behalf of this national workshop on national workshops organizing committee, yes, please, Karthik, unmute yourself and talk.
Subha ma'am, may I audible?
Yes, Karthik.
Greeting everyone. An American singer, Jimmy Dean, said once, for true success in a life, we should ask 4 questions. Why? Why not? Why not me? And why not now? With this quote, I would like to propose my thanks for today's session. Yes, question plays an important role in sort of life and profession. Questions are unique and important to express and expand the knowledge vision in the research area. Along with the appropriate justification, what we have given by Dr. Thangaraj Arumugam from VIT Business School, Chennai. He's a keynote speaker, a prominent keynote speaker, have given his idea, skills, knowledge in the research area. His idea and vision creating a question and validating as a greater help research scholars and all of us. Thank you, Doctor. And I thank Dr. Sunil, Justice, and Dr. Ravi Prakash, the organizing secretaries, for their upkeep. I thank Dr. Rukmani for the fleeting welcome note and Dr. Shivakumar for the crisp note of our university, and thank Mr. Sudesh for the feedback. I thank you, dear participants, faculties, research scholars, and the members for their active participation. Your valuable feedback and keen queries stood useful to all of us. Definitely, it's a bones day to all of us. We shall meet tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Karthik. So we are in the end of the session. We will meet tomorrow at the same time with the same link. Thank you, one and all.